everybody, welcome back to Be My Cook. In today's video we're going to be making easy cabbage rolls. Stay tuned. For this recipe you're going to need 1 pound of ground chuck, 1 to 2 heads of cabbage, sauerkraut, 2 cans of tomato sauce, salt, pepper, 3/4 of a cup of white rice that is uncooked, and 3 generous tablespoons of onion, some foil, and some toothpicks. I'll show you the next step. Now in my large stock pot, I have water in here getting ready to boil. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple tablespoons of white vinegar to the pot. And we're going to let this start to boil, and then we're going to put in our cabbage. Now we're going to set aside our meat mixture for now, and we're going to start to work on our cabbage. Now this cabbage, I've already scored the bottom of it in a square right where the root is. And this one, I'm going to show you. Take your paring knife and put the knife in as far as you can get it and make a square around the core. And that's all we have to do. The leaves are going to come off of this core when we boil the cabbage, so it's not a problem. So just leave it the way that it is, and we're going to put in 1 head in our pot at a time. Our water has been boiling. I'm going to take off our lid, and we're going to slowly put our cabbage in very carefully. Now I put our cabbage in core side down, and we're just going to let this boil until the leaves become soft. And you're going to have to take the leaves off one by one, and we're going to drain the leaves. Our cabbage is boiling, and we're going to leave this cabbage boiling for about 15 minutes. Then we're going to take off the leaves and we're going to drain them. And then I'll show you the next step. Our cabbage has been cooking for 5 minutes, and I want to show you that a leaf has already come off. We're just going to leave it in there. And you can see that where they're coming off from the core here. Right about there. Okay. Now, periodically, you're going to want to turn this cabbage over. See, a leaf popped off. There we go, good. I have a couple leaves that have come off my cabbage, and it's been cooking for about 6 minutes. So we still have a few more minutes to go. We're just going to leave those leaves in there to continue to cook and soften. Now while our cabbage is cooking, we're going to start working on our meat mixture. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add in our rice. Now, I don't know if I'm going to use all of this 3/4 of a cup. I kind of like to look at it and see what it looks like. We don't want too much rice. We kind of want a little even mixture of rice to ground chuck. So once I get this mixed up, we'll have a better understanding of what this looks like. Because our rice is uncooked, once it starts getting the juices from the ground chuck, it's actually going to cook inside the cabbage roll, and it's going to expand. So we want to make sure that we have the right amount of rice to our meat. Looks like I can use a little bit more. I think I'll use the whole 3/4 of a cup. I'm going to stir that around. Yeah, that looks about right. Now I'm going to take 1 of my small cans of tomato sauce, and I'm going to add a little less than half of that to our mixture. We're not going to add the whole can, we just want a little bit more flavor in our meat mixture. We're going to save the rest of that can for the top of the cabbage rolls. We're going to add some pepper and some salt. Now we're going to add our onion. Okay, so I'm not going to use the whole 3 tablespoons. I have about a generous tablespoon left. When you're making these, you have to make adjustments. And I've been making these for a long time, so I know what I want it to look like. Okay, now I have some of our juice from our sauerkraut. I'm going to add that to the meat mixture as well. Just a little bit. Okay, this is what it looks like. Now we're going to cover this with plastic wrap, put it in the refrigerator, and we'll get back to it as soon as all of our cabbage is done. Our timer just went off for 15 minutes of cooking our cabbage, and I'm going to take some of these leaves out and we'll put them in this bowl to drain. Now I'm going to give this cabbage a little bit longer because our leaves, they don't want to disengage from the core right now. So I'm going to leave it go for another 5 minutes. I took out the other cabbage and I have some of the leaves that I want draining in this bowl. And I'm going to add our other cabbage very carefully to the boiling water. Core side down. And we're going to give this another 15 minutes to cook. Now the reason why I took this one out of the stock pot is because I really don't want to use all of these super white and small leaves. I want to use mostly the green ones. That's why usually if I'm making cabbage rolls, I'm going to buy 2 heads of cabbage because I really want the greener parts of the cabbage. I have my workstation all set up. I have some wax paper on my board. I have some toothpicks ready. I have all the cans open. I grabbed some tomato juice to put on the top of the cabbage rolls. I put my sauerkraut in a bowl. I have the first head of cabbage, the leaves right here. I have my 13 by 9 casserole dish. I have a cookie sheet lined with foil just in case it spills over and I don't want it on my oven. I have some paper towels at the ready because this gets pretty messy. And I also have some more paper towels. So what I'm going to do now is this first cabbage that I cooked, these leaves are pretty hot. So I'm just going to go ahead and put them in this casserole dish for now while we're waiting for the other cabbage to cook, so that they cool down and they're easier to handle. Now these little ones that I have here are mostly of the white. I don't try to use those right away. I try to use these nice green ones, but in a pinch, these ones come in handy. But I'm pretty sure I probably won't be using those. My second cabbage is doing very well. It's been cooking for about 4 minutes. I'll show you the next step after we get all the cabbage cooked. While we're waiting for our last cabbage to cook, go ahead and preheat your oven at 350. Now that all of our cabbage is cooked, let's prep our casserole dish. We're going to take some of our tomato juice. We're going to put in the bottom of the dish just to cover the dish. Now we're going to put some pepper in there and some salt. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my sauerkraut and put that at the bottom. All around, just a little bit. All right. Now this is prepped. Now once we get our cabbage rolled, we're going to put them inside the dish. Now to prepare our cabbage leaf, there's this big seam through here, and we want to cut that out because it's very hard. So I'm going to take my paring knife and I'm going to try to shave it down without cutting the cabbage, because it's very hard to roll the cabbage when that seam is left the way that it is. Now you can see that it's more flat. Now I'm going to take our beef mixture. I would say this is about 2 tablespoons worth. We're going to put it in the cabbage leaf right at that seam that we got rid of, and we're going to fold it over, fold it over, fold it over, like you're making a burrito, and all the way down. Now we're going to take our toothpicks, and I usually put 2 in there, and don't forget that they're in there. Tell the people that you're going to be serving that there's toothpicks in there, and we're going to set it in the dish, and we're going to continue. You want to make them the same size so that they all cook evenly in the pan. Now this meal actually is very easy. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy and it's pretty fast. It doesn't take that much time. You can make it ahead of time. You can make it on a Sunday night, eat it Sunday night, and have leftovers for Monday. It even tastes better the next day. Now that I have all of my cabbage rolls in my dish, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rest of the can of the tomato sauce and I'm going to pour that on the cabbage rolls. And then I'm going to take the second can and I'm going to add a little bit of sugar to this one. Now I have a small bowl here and I'm going to add the second can of tomato sauce in this bowl. And I'm going to add about a tablespoon of granulated sugar. And we're going to stir that around. I'm going to set that aside for now. Now I'm going to take some pepper and some salt. And the rest of our sauerkraut, I'm going to put it on the top. Now you don't have to bake these in the oven. I'm going to bake them in the oven at 350 for about an hour, and I'm going to check one of them and see if the meat is done. And then I'm going to take the foil off and I'm going to let it cook for another 15 minutes and they should be done. You also can use a crock pot and put these in the crock pot and put them on low heat for 8 hours if you wish. I've done that before. Now we're going to use our sauce that we put the sugar in, and we're going to put that all around the top. Now the reason why you want to use sugar is because there's a lot of tomato products in here and it can get a little sour. So we don't want to have super sour cabbage rolls because we do have sauerkraut. We want to have a nice balance. Let's just get the rest in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up the casserole dish as much as I can with the tomato juice. We don't want to get it too close to the top because it will bubble over, and we don't want that. But we do want a nice sauce when these are done. That's about right. Okay, we didn't use all of it. Now I'm going to cover this with foil and we're going to put it in the oven. Now I'm going to take some parchment paper and I'm just going to put that over the top of the dish. Then I'm going to add some foil on top of that. Now the reason why I'm doing that is sometimes there's a reaction between the foil and tomato products and it kind of gives it a little bit of a strange flavor. So to keep that from happening, use the parchment paper first. Okay, now we're going to put it in the oven. Let's take a look at our cabbage rolls. I just took them out of the oven. Ooh, hot and steaming out of the oven. Now they've been cooking for about an hour and 10 minutes at 350. I'm now going to put them back into the oven for 15 more minutes just so the liquid starts to evaporate a little bit, and then I'll show you what they look like. Now I'm going to serve my cabbage rolls with some mashed potatoes, so I'm just going to peel some potatoes and get those cooking while I'm still waiting for the cabbage rolls to get done. Now sometimes I don't make mashed potatoes with my cabbage rolls, but because it's just me and my husband, I'm going to make potatoes tonight because I want to have cabbage rolls again for tomorrow. Now tomorrow when we eat our cabbage rolls, we're not going to have mashed potatoes unless we have leftovers tonight. But this is what I mean when you can have one dish that can last you a couple days. It's always kind of nice to have these kind of dishes in your menu planning. Okay, let's get these into the pan. Our potatoes are in the pot. We're going to get those to boil. And when they are fork tender, we're going to take them out and we're going to mash them. Let's give a check to our potatoes. Nope, a few more minutes. Here's our easy cabbage rolls hot out of the oven. Now we're just going to let those sit for a while and cool down while we're waiting for our potatoes to get done. Let's check on our potatoes. Yeah, they're done. So I'm going to drain these and put them in a bowl, and we're going to get these mashed up. Now that I have our potatoes in the bowl, I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to add a little bit of milk. This is whole milk, by the way. It's about a 1/4 cup. And I'm going to add some salt. Now, a lot of you would be mashing your potatoes with something like this, potato masher. I have a fork, and I'm just going to mash them with a fork because I'm going to use my mixer, and I'm actually going to whip these potatoes. I want to get them in smaller pieces here for my mixer to be able to whip these correctly. And periodically, if it's too thick, I might have to add a little bit more milk. And you might have to add a little bit more salt to your taste. Okay, let's try this. Use my mixer. Okay, let's take a look. That's what we want. Nice whipped potatoes. Okay, let's give it a taste. Oh, it's good. I don't need any more salt and I don't need any more milk. So our easy cabbage rolls are now done, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to serve it. Now let's get one of these out. Let's get 2 of them. Put them on the plate with our mashed potatoes. Now I want to take another spoon and grab some of this topping and put that on the potatoes, and a little bit more on our cabbage rolls. There you have it. Here is our easy cabbage rolls with a side of mashed potatoes. If you like this recipe, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching. Enjoy!